Hey, look, it's another Before You Buy. It's me, Jake Baldino, as usual, talking about some of the games that are releasing with some straight-up gameplay. And today we're talking about Dusk. It's a first-person shooter with a classic appeal. It's like very much a PC gamer's game. It's technically not a complete game yet, but the way we look at it here, like Fortnite and some others, is they're asking for your money, so we're gonna talk about it. It's $20 now or later. Right now you get the first of 3 episodes in a single-player campaign and a portion of the Endless Horde mode. This style of game is very specific, but unlike others that have tried to get by on nostalgia alone, Dusk actually has the gameplay chops to back it up. Like I mentioned, it's really all about 90s PC gameplay. It clearly takes influences from Doom, Quake, Blood, Heretic, Redneck Rampage, old school PC stuff. In the campaign mode, through 11 levels, you progress through the spooky town of Dusk, Pennsylvania. The game throws you right in and doesn't really tell you anything, and most of it is kept kind of classically ambiguous with little bits of environmental storytelling here and there, but whatever, it really doesn't matter because you're blazing through levels, blowing everything up in sight with like sickles, pistols, a lever action shotgun that can be dual wielded, a really solid super shotgun, a crossbow, a mortar launcher thing, an assault rifle, and some secret weapons I don't really want to spoil for you. You can probably tell by now looking at the gameplay, Dusk is fast and twitchy. It relies on a very high level of speed strafing and accuracy in order to do good. Most importantly, it's skill based and actually takes a little practice if you're not used to this style of play, and thankfully it all feels extremely tight and well polished. There's a crouch slide that feels slick and a bit more modern, as well as the ability to have complete free range of motion on jump pads to the point where you can actually do cool flips. Pulling off those skill shots are tricky, and I kind of suck at them though, but the most important thing about the Dusk gameplay for me is that it's fun. Levels are intricately designed with open spaces like tight corridors, hidden secrets, switches, trapdoors, and some decent surprises, like encounters sometimes go down not quite like you'd expect, which is pretty refreshing from such a game that sticks to old school design. It's an interesting game to look at and play because it requires your full attention, and thankfully the aesthetic too is surprisingly unique. For a game that does wear its references on its sleeves, a spooky, haunted, cult-infested town is pretty refreshing and cool as hell. And it moves at a decent pace with levels changing up quite well and frequently, and eventually you go from farms and sawmills to a town, and instead of fighting hooded KKK wizards and haunted scarecrow mans, you're fighting soldiers. There's a good mix of freedom and breather moments and some intense stuff with like loads of enemies that are fine in some encounters, but trickier in some, like when you're stuck in a hallway with loads of them. One criticism I have is that the boss battles feel too simplistic. I love shooting stuff up and just shooting the hell out of the bosses, not much complication there, but more attack and scenario variety with the bosses would have made them a bit more fun for me. But thanks to the end screens having a par time, it can kind of feel like a speedrunner or a time trial addict's like wet dream. You could blaze through levels thanks to a really good sense of momentum the game's movement gives you and some really good bunny hopping. I'm talking like 10 out of 10 bunny hopping. But I will say, while it is refreshing and paced well, some of the actual stuff you do won't exactly surprise you. There are very often locked, color-coded doors, and you gotta find the keys, and then backtrack to earlier parts of the level to progress. You've been doing that since you were a kid probably, and you're gonna be doing it here too, so just be prepared. I think the settings and variety more than make up for that, but that's just me. The whole thing does also look and run very well, definitely thanks to a ridiculous amount of settings if you're a stickler for graphical control and FOV sliders and everything. You can change the amount of pixelation, style of lighting, make the game look way older, and even apply a bunch of like different colored filters and stuff. And what's nice is more people could probably try this because it can run on lower spec machines. For part of this video I was traveling and I fired it up on a lower spec surface and it actually played very well. The music is also very, very strong with a good metal vibe that fits perfectly, and music man Andrew Holschult has once again done it after following up Rise of the Triad and some 3D Realm stuff with music that is just good for killing things. Endless mode is also here, like I mentioned, with just one map right now, but it's a good way to really see all the weapons and the enemies in a pretty rapid succession. I like this mode just because the core gameplay is so solid, but I can't quite put my finger on it, but I want a little more from it. I'm not sure what, but it does feel like it's slightly missing something. Maybe some progression systems would be fun, but I'm totally biased in that regard because I'm obsessed with them. I think my biggest criticism with Dusk is that as of right now, it needs more, but that is kind of obvious looking at what the game has scheduled and the way it's being released. You know what you're buying into. 2 more single-player episodes, more endless mode, a co-op mode, and a multiplayer mode are planned. I really hope the multiplayer mode has legs, because if it does, I can see myself playing it all the time because that core loop is so good. But that's the gamble. We don't know yet. Time will tell. But I still can absolutely recommend Dusk if you're a fan of these games, because it'll take you right back. If you're not a fan of these games or just never experienced them, and you're the curious type of gamer, I'll even tell you to give it a shot just because it is so fun, and I think that's one of the bigger compliments I can give a game. But PC fans, I want to know how you guys are feeling on Dusk. You know how Before You Buy works. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion thrown in there, and now I definitely want to hear yours. Did you hop into this? Are you gonna wait? Let me know. Have you looked at some gameplay? Have you seen some streams? If you're on the outside looking in, what are you thinking? But if you did pick it up and you've played the content up and down, I definitely want to know how you feel about it. If you're an old piece of crap like me, do you think this holds up to some of the old classics that we loved? I want to know how you guys are feeling on this, so let's talk in the comments. You know, I'll be there answering any questions that you have, but if you got anything else for me, like some questions, some hate mail, or anything, hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jake Baldino as well. But you know the deal, coming around here, clicking the like button does help me out. It lets me do more before you buy videos to keep you guys up to date, but subscribing if you're new is a good idea because we put out stuff like this all the time. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.